how it was.
Hello, welcome to Monday Night Paranormal Live with myself and Jenny Paul from Host for Ghosts, Angela from South Coast Ghosts, Jamie from Ghost Dragon Investigations, and one of our investigators down the bottom is Luke. So welcome to Monday Night Live. Hope you all had a good weekend and enjoying the hot sunshine. From all of us, a big well done to Angela for passing her Reiki healing course. So well done you and everybody watching. We know where to queue up when we're not well then. Sorry. Oh. Sorry. And there's a dog on the screen.
Yeah, there's my ghost dog.
We have one here. One goes everywhere with us. Little Pops. Yeah. She's a ghost dog. She's a spirit investigator. Hang on. Come here, Pops.
Oh dear.
Say hello to everybody.
Oh look.
Say hello. Right. Say hello. Where's in ghosts? Where are they, Pops?
Else has had enough of coming up here now. She's just gone off now.
So she comes most times with us if we can't find a babysitter. So she's good. She enjoys it. Wanders around looking for ghosts. So there you go. So Saturday night, Julia's packing, ready to go on holiday. So she might. Hi, Dora. So she might pop on in a little bit. Saturday night we're at Merley. I never know how to say it because I get it mixed up with Merrys Wood as well. Merley House, Saturday in Wimborne. Good night. Interesting place. Absolutely fantastic. Such a beautiful house. We wandered around the grounds first, and the couple that introduced us or showed us around, really accommodating, really, really nice people. They showed us around the house. The house is on a piece of land that's got mobile homes and caravans and all that around it. So sometimes you hear the voices outside. You have to be a little bit careful because you could hear people talking outside. So if you're inside doing your investigation, you sort of really had to listen quite carefully if you could hear someone walking past. Or a couple of times I've heard voices and I walked to the window and had to look outside to see if it sounded like someone was walking past. And on the two occasions that I heard it, I looked, there were people just wandering back to their caravans, their chalets. So, you've got to get up and have a look just to make sure. But beautiful, fantastic house. Absolutely phenomenal inside. Beautiful staircase. Not a sort of staircase you'd want to run up and down too many times. It puffs you out by the time you get to the top. You run out of breath.
Fair old size.
That is, isn't it? When you get up and look over, it must be at least 20 foot. To the plaque,
it's a grand staircase, I'd say.
It must. When you look over the balcony, you must be looking about 20 feet from the top of the balcony down. So it's quite a height. You don't realise going up the stairs, you get a bit puffy, but when you actually look over, you think, blimey, that's looking from the balcony down. So it's around about, I would have said around about 20 feet, maybe a bit less, bit more, I don't know, but it's quite a height. You look over, you think you wouldn't want to fall over there.
No, certainly not.
So when we first went up there on the little walk around, we got to the top of the landing, and a few people went off into the nursery, and you go upstairs. A few rooms are offices because they use them as offices and kitchens, and there's a nursery upstairs, which was quite interesting. But a few of us, when we got to the landing, suddenly stopped. Like something had stopped us dead on the landing for some reason. And we're all looking around at each other thinking, nobody said anything. Like, that power of suggestion. We sort of all stopped, but we all stopped around the same sort of area and looked at each other and thought, well, this is it. Like you just didn't want to go any further, and it was like something tragic had happened on that landing. You were walking into something tragic. Now I don't know if your team know the history of what's happened in that house, but as you can see, the landing's right at the very, very top.
Yeah,
and you're
that's
looking
right.
over.
And the kitchen's on the left.
That's it. The kitchen's on the left.
And
you go up the stairs and turn right, and then the nursery's along there.
So
but there's offices.
When you get to the top of the stairs, where you've got the corner as you turn right to like where you got the meeting offices and that, a couple of our members stopped there and didn't know why.
And there was myself, Gemma, and Cheryl. We all got to that bit and we stopped, but none of us said anything, which was quite strange. Not like, well, do you feel that? Do you feel something? We just stood and looked at each other and went. It was just like you couldn't go any further. So I sort of waited there with them and looking around, and then I saw in my head, I don't know how, in my head I saw a man appear on the landing. In my head, not apparition. And I saw him waving his finger at this young teenage girl. And then I saw her go over the banister and plop to the bottom. So I saw that. Literally, I just see him waving his finger at her. She's backing up and over she went. I see her legs, her legs go over and down she went. When I looked over, I could see what in my head this is. Nobody else could see it. So I don't think I was imagining it, but there was something came in. Not sure what, how, why, but they showed me it. And I could see what looked like a shadow on the floor, but I could only see the top half of the body underneath the landing. So we did the rest of the walkabout and then went back down, and there's a lady and a man there that were in charge of it. Really, really nice couple. Absolutely. And he said, if you get anything, come and see us and we can verify it, not verify it, say no. We can make notes and try and look back. But they have a very vague history on the house.
Yeah.
Because over the period of time it was built to the time now, it was rented out to different people from London. So people would rent it for a year, 2 years, 3 years. So it's got a very sketchy history. So they can't prove what happened or blah. And it was really interesting in not giving much away. So I won't give much away, but it was owned by different people at various times of its life. So that makes it quite interesting. So you've had many different energies and people and families living in the house. It could have been there 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, and then moved on. They just rented it because the owner never really wanted to have the house because he bought the land. And then when they took him around to show him the land, he said, well, whose house is that then? And they said, well, it's your house. He went, no, I've only bought the land. He said, no, it's your house on your land. So he sort of inherited the house on the land. So, and it's a grade 1 listed building. It's very difficult to have any renovations done. And anyway, I sort of wandered off, and we did the walk around, and I walked back down the stairs, and this replay was in my head. I couldn't seem to get rid of it. So I said to the man, can I just ask you a quick question? All I need to know, yes, no, got it completely wrong, whatever, it doesn't matter. He said, well, what's happened? So I said, when I told him the story, what I'd seen, he said, you're correct. That's what happened to one of the families that they found back in when they'd been doing a history check on the house, that the tragic accident had happened as one of the teenage daughters had gone over the banister after the father was trying to reprimand her and landed on the floor. And I thought the name said Anna, but it's actually Annabelle was the name of the girl that hit the floor. And then later on, we tried to do like a spirit box session down there.
Mm-hmm.
So there was Cheryl, myself, and Zoe, I think, was down there. And it was very quiet there. And then we said, can you tell us how you passed? Knowing that he'd verified what I'd seen. And he said, peacefully. So that was just about the only bit of stuff that came out. And that, right at the very bottom, before you go up the stairs, there's a big massive round table. I think it's where the toilet doors are, just there. So, that started off quite well there, really, to get that. I don't know why it was in my head or why I saw it. I don't know. I don't know. Even now, I think about it, but the man saying yes, that's exactly what happened, and the name is Annabelle and not Anna. I'm thinking, okay, they must show me that for a reason. There's got to be a reason they show you these things, whether it's to acknowledge her, whether it's to acknowledge something terrible happened there. I don't know, but like you say, when your group, when you get to the top of the stairs and you literally just stop, you just literally don't, like you've walked into something. You sort of look. God, sorry, mate.
There was 8 of us, and like 2 or 3 people. Just like as you get to the top, just past the kitchen and start turning, they just stopped. They were just sort of like, and then they were just like, you right? Went, yeah, just sort of felt something, and then just went into the big meeting room on the right hand side there.
Yeah, and it literally was like that, like a dunk, like you stopped, like someone didn't want you to go any further until you'd done something, been done, something. And we didn't. Let's say we didn't. We just looked at each other. Not one of us said a word, which was quite strange, really. Not getting a word out of Gemma straight away. So we were just sort of looking at each other, and then we sort of went through it. And then Jem was downstairs in the main room, because as you come in the front door, you turn right, go through the little room there, and then go left, and we had the base room there at the back.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
So when you turn right, it's like sort of like a wedding, like esque room. And then you got the door which goes through to like a meeting room.
That's it. Yeah, there we had the base.
The next door on the back goes into a massive hall.
That's it. Yeah.
And then it comes back round to the bar.
That's right. We were as you come in the front door, you turn right, go through a little bit of a hall.
Yeah.
And then right to the bottom, go left, and we had the base there.
Okay.
Because it was quiet there. And they said, "Oh, if you're sitting in the base room, be aware what goes on in there."
Yeah.
So we thought, so that's really good to have a base room where people would go and get a cup of tea and sit and listen. And there was a few taps and the windows rattled a bit, but we think maybe the window tapping might have been when somebody opened the front door and you got that suction of air. Whether you get that suction of air that far away, we don't know. We think it's air movement.
Because a lot of the windows have wooden shutters.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and when we're all sat there, I don't know if you can see me. We all sat there. I thought someone had walked behind me. Yeah, sorry. I thought someone had walked behind me, and I thought maybe it was Paul. But then I sort of looked round, and Paul was already standing there. You also thought someone had gone out the door.
I looked and thought, who's gone out the door while Julia's doing her talk? And I looked at Jim and looked out the door, and I thought. And I literally thought I saw somebody walk past.
Yeah, I thought someone walked behind me.
I thought, well, Julia's in the middle of her talk. And this is the face that Jen came up with when she was sitting in the base room on her own, like spirit art. And we think this is Anna or Annabelle.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah.
She looks quite young.
So that's what painted. Sorry?
Yeah.
She looks quite young.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt she was young.
Yeah, and that came through when Jen was on her own, sitting in the base room.
Oh, and then it was Lynn that walked in.
Oh yeah.
At one point, and I thought she said, "Let's have a look." And then she said something about, "Oh, it's still quite warm out there." And I said, "What did you just say?" And she said, "I just said, oh, it's still quite warm out there." I said, "So you didn't say let's have a look?" And she goes, "No."
So whether that was spirit saying, let's have a look at the drawing.
Yeah.
Could have been.
We don't know. I don't know. Sorry.
When we went in, so if you go in the main door and pan left, you got the main staircase and you got that gorgeous jukebox. I think it's still there.
Yes.
I hope it's still
on the right hand side. Yeah.
I wanted that so bad.
Oh,
and then you go through that door and then you've got the bar.
That's
the right,
the back corner. Yeah.
And then our base of operations was a big room just off of the bar.
Well, we couldn't go in there because there was a wedding reception. They were laid out all the tables and chairs and all the balloons and all of that there. We could use the very end, which would have been the dance floor, you know, the wooden floor at the very end. She said use that, but please don't touch anything on the tables, the chairs, because it's all set out. But if you go through that door and then come out the door at the other end, that's where we had the main hub there.
Yeah. So we had our main
room.
hub. We had the main hub right next to the by the bar, and then I think your base of operations room, which was the meeting room, like through the next door.
Yeah.
I will put the video up soon. I haven't had a chance to put it up. I'm going to put it up raw because there's quite a lot of interesting things on that. But that room, so that room there to where we said, like, you've got that wedding-y room as you walk through, like the next one along. Yeah. We had one of our members stood by the door because we had some tapping. It was quite hard to get because if you're actually in that sort of where your base was, I don't know if you found, but the floor echoes a lot because it's traditional old wooden floors. So when you walk on it, it reverberates quite a lot of echoing. So we're all stood still. We asked the spirit to come forward, and I've never heard a door kick so hard in all my life. And it kicked the door directly behind where one of our members was stood. And it was like someone was the other side. The fact that like she ran away from the door, and then we had to open the door and have a look to make sure nobody was in there.
Because a couple of times we were in the base room having a cup of tea, like you do, and we heard like a tap, 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 like someone was tapping on the window. But one of our guests went round and he said it was about a 10-foot drop to get to the window. So there's not nobody outside tapping on the window. So we thought we'd try and open the door, see if it's air pressure that's causing the window panes to just sort of knock a little bit, you know, like you do. Yeah. And we sort of tapped the glass, made sure, it sounds like that. Open and shut the doors. And we called out, like, we're sitting in there, spirit, can you make another noise again? And then we heard the biggest bang upstairs, though, like a door had slammed. And we're like, okay, so maybe there's people up there and the door slammed. So one of us went off and had a quick look, and they were all settled with the door shut. Well, okay, you know, it's a door slam. It could have been anywhere in that house. So we went back down again and said, Spirit, if that was really you, can you really do that again for us? And it was this biggest bang of a door we ever heard. We couldn't find out what door it was. So
that's interesting.
The door where we were didn't actually move, like the door you were explaining. But our door sounded like it was upstairs, but to the back of the house.
So you know where did they still have the big projection screen up in that meeting room where you had the so like where the door was, where we said we had the bang, we had like knocking sounds above us there.
Oh, did you? Oh, right.
Because in the video you'll see I walk around with another member and we're saying, is this you knocking over here? And we're looking up. And that's when I said, if that's you, can you let us know you're here? And that's when the door gets absolutely like it did sound like someone had ran and give it the biggest boot I've ever heard.
Because that's how it sounded like upstairs, like someone really slammed the door. And I thought, hope it's not somebody slamming the doors, because that's, you know, disrespectful for everybody else that's doing experiments around the building. You know, that's not fair. So I went off and had a quick look. And everybody, it was completely silent upstairs. They were doing transfiguration, I think, in the nursery room. So the door was shut, and I sort of didn't open the door. I went to the door and thought, well, the door's shut. I came back down, and the strangest thing is when we asked, can you do that again, please? And it was like, bang, again. And I thought, it can't be someone slamming the door. So it was a direct response to a question. And then sort of sat there, thought, well, if someone's slamming the door, you know, that needs to be found and stopped, because this is someone's home, and you can't go around slamming, banging, you know, doing things in the house. But I went up there and sort of sneaked in the room while they were doing it and said, has anybody been out through the door? And they went, no, everybody's still here. Nobody's been out. So you saying you hear tapping, we heard doors slamming.
Yeah.
So maybe there's something around that area. It'd be of interest when you go there again.
The interesting thing.
Sorry, laser lights and that scarecrow.
Yeah.
Oh, what down in the basement? Oh, don't.
Yeah, bloody thing.
Bloody down there. So, the interesting thing about what you've just said about what you felt on the stairs to the little girl to the drawing, when we were in that sort of wedding room, the next one over, we did another small session in there. One of our younger members is quite sensitive, like quite strong with empath. She said some feeling come over her, like there was a little girl or a lady, and she just burst out crying and said, "I feel all this emotion," and she was just sat in there. I've got it on video. I'll see if I can find it. But she sat there saying, "I don't know what it is, but the spirit here is just making me want to cry," and she was crying for ages.
That's mad. I think, having sort of, I don't know why I saw it in my head. I really don't. I don't know why I'm questioning myself, but I am. I saw what happened because I was standing there and this man came past me, wagging his finger, and I'm watching it, and then I see her going backwards, and then I just see her go over the top, and I'm like, and I sort of said then, and Gemma, I say to you, she's gone over the top. Where has she gone? And I sort of went to the banister to look. I don't know why it made me try and look for her. I just don't know. I couldn't get my head around what they were showing me. Whether they were showing me something they wanted people to see, and it's interesting you're saying that lady's picking up that energy, and it could be this lady that's gone over the top, and obviously she sadly passed away, bless her. And what you're feeling is her sadness of having going over the top. And I thought, well, why am I seeing this? And when I spoke to the guy, I think his name was Tony, and he said, well, what have you got? So I told him what I'd seen. He said, that's correct. That's absolutely right. That's what happened up there. They lost one of their teenagers, went over the banister.
Yeah,
and I thought, well, okay. So I thought, okay, Spirit, you showed me this for a reason. Try and give me a reason why. Is it acknowledgements so somebody knows that she sadly... I don't know the answer. If someone watching knows the answer, please.
Is it the fact that he, in a fit of anger, trying to reprimand his daughter, is living in regret? And obviously he's been portrayed as a murderer because she went over the banister.
Quite possibly. Yeah. That's a good point.
Maybe he felt he had a connection that he might be able to get his story across to you, and he's trying to clear his name, and maybe he'll find peace.
Maybe. They showed me for a reason, but I don't know. Sometimes you just don't question that. They show you for a reason, and they're showing you, and you just have to leave it at that. They've shown you for a reason.
I will write that down in my book. Because I'm hoping to go back there, or I should be going back there, and maybe I can get some more answers for us.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. Yeah, if you can pick up on that. But apparently that's what happened up there. And he said when he goes round with the other lady, and she said, they get to the top of the stairs and they don't really like going any further and locking up because it's just like you walk into a different time. She said it's how she explains, like being in a different time. So it's obviously something on that landing. I don't think it's a portal or anything like that. I think maybe what I saw was residual, was a playback from what had happened. It's not intelligent conversation or anything like that. I think it's residual. It's just playing it back.
Yeah.
Whether they played it back to show me this is what happened and it needs to be acknowledged, or I don't know. I really don't know. So if anybody's watching, like Jamie said, if you've got any answers to that, then please send them through. So we did that, and then where did we go? We went down the basement, the dreaded basement. Oh, bloody thing. Honestly, I've been in a few basements in my time, but that is quite a creepy little place down there because although it's massive, it's got lots of rooms off it, but you feel very shut in, very enclosed inside it.
Ceiling's quite low.
Yes, you get that feeling of being very sort of not trapped, but you think if you need to, if you needed to get out, you'd sort of lose which way you would want to go, really.
Yeah.
So we were standing in there. There's a couple of people in the room. That's it there. So as you can see, the doorway there in the middle is the way you come in, and just to the left of it is Jamie's favourite mannequin standing there.
Flipping stupid scarecrow thing in there. My God.
I'll tell you a story about that in a minute. Oh my God, bloody thing. Anyway, so that's the way in. You come in through that door, you come down by the kitchen, past the kitchen and then through into the door, and then you come into the basement, and there's various rooms off the basement, like storage. They got a lot of storage in there now, where people store files and all sort of furniture. The owner stores the furniture in a room and also, and he had a really, really old-fashioned pram. But we was wondering whether to sort of uncover it and use it as a trigger object, see if we could get it to move. So if you go there, Jamie, in the route, not the first, the second turning on the second door on your right is a room with a sofa in it and a big table in the middle. So if you go straight across that room, there's a door in the corner, and if you go through, it takes you around in a massive square, and you come back out into the main basement. Yeah.
Right.
So go in that room. The owner stores, or the previous owners stored some of their stuff in there. It's a really, really old-fashioned pram. I mean, really. And we were wondering whether to get it out and see if we could use it as a trigger.
I can't remember, but I think a while ago I may have sent Angela the XLS footage of that pram.
Because when you sort of go near it, you feel, because I said, maybe we should pull the pram out and use it as a trigger object, because it's something about that pram.
Those rooms, funny enough, are supposed to be off limits.
But you're allowed, any door that was open, you were allowed in.
Yeah, we were told when we were there last that even though it's open down there, as soon as you come across some storage, it's supposed to be off limits. But we were in there anyway.
Yeah, that's never stopped us before, eh?
No, you just look and you see all these fantastic objects just in there, and you're just like, "Oh, we got to be in here." This just feels right.
We were so tempted to pull the pram out and use it as a trigger object and see whether we could get it to. But we didn't pluck up the courage, because it's someone's personal stuff, isn't it? No. You know, but if you go, it might be worth a bit of a trigger object.
Well, like I say, that's where we first had the XLS working instead of the SLS, and we put it on the table and we pointed it sort of in that room, and we had two people stood one side and someone this side, and then all of a sudden in the pram we had a stick figure sat like in the pram.
Wow.
But when you move, like, because with the XLS you can actually move like the screen, it's a 3D image, it projects a 3D image, so you can see if it's picking up off of the object, but it was actually free floating.
Bloody hell, that's interesting, because it was something about that pram, but we didn't pluck the courage up to move it, because at the end of the day, it's someone's property and it's left there for a reason. You know, whether you get away by doing it, I don't know, but we didn't touch it out of respect.
No, we didn't. We didn't touch it.
Something about it. There's something about that pram. I'm not sure what. So we were in. To start off with, we were in the main entrance. So you go through the door, and we were standing in the middle of the tunnel. And the stairs were down towards the left-hand side of us. So we're looking downstairs, and then as you carry on past the stairs, you can go around in a massive circle and come back in that room again. But obviously, she said, be careful, because there's live cables and bits and pieces hanging around as they're slowly doing renovations. She said, you know, obviously it costs fortunes of money, because it's grade listed one building. She said everything costs 10 times as much as a normal building. So they have to be very careful how they spend the money, and, you know, but it's just such a fantastic place. It's unreal. You know, what they've done with it is incredible. So we were standing in the middle of that basement looking down, and the stairs were slightly to our left. I don't know whether Angela got some pictures, and we put a laser grid up down the stairs. At first, when I first walked in there to have a quick look on my own, I thought I saw a little boy sitting halfway up the stairs, but I don't know. I'd just come in past the scarecrow, so I don't know whether I had an image in my head. Anyway, you know what I mean. I don't know whether I had an image. Yeah, I didn't know whether I had an image in my head as I walked in, and so that sort of threw me. So as you can see on the left-hand side of the picture is the stairs there. The room we're on about is just sort of come towards, well, obviously the end here. The room's on the right. And if you go into the right-hand side, you can go down through there, and it goes round in a square and comes out in the room that's to our right-hand side just here. So we were there, and we set up the laser grid down there. I don't know whether we put a REM pod. Did we put a REM down there, Luke? I don't think we did we?
Was I there I was there at one point.
Yeah, you was there at the beginning. Anyway, we put so we had the laser grid, and we were standing there, And just to the right of the staircase, you see that shadow in the picture. It was like it was popping in and out from behind the staircase. Now, we weren't sure whether the laser grid was hitting the staircase and causing the laser grid to go out. If the laser hits something solid, you get a dark spot beyond it. So we sort of wandered down there, had a little look. Obviously, there's no one there. So we came back and we then moved the laser grid left and right so we could see if we could get the laser to go straight past the staircase and to the back wall. And if you look slightly, you could just see the laser up on the top of the wall, which is the very, very end of the corridor, right down the very end, Jamie, right at the very end.
Yeah.
And we were standing there, and again, we were looking down there, and what it looked like was someone that was walking past the door and back again, like that all the time. But weren't sure whether it was the laser light. But again, we turned them off, shone a torch, nothing, put the laser in a different position so it was further round to the right, because if it was the left, it would bouncing off the banisters, and that's giving you a dark spot beyond the laser. So we were moving it around till we could get a clear line of sight, if you want to call it, for the laser to fire straight through to the rear wall, so we could see it down on the back of the rear wall. So we did experiment by moving the laser grid around to try and debunk the stairs causing the black spot behind. It was slightly to the left, and we're thinking as it fires down there, it might be that it hits the banister, and the banister then casts that dark shadow beyond because the light can't get through. So then we moved it to the right hand side, moved it to the middle, anywhere we could get a clear line of sight for the laser to the end of the corridor. And again, we kept seeing this, and Gemma was there. There was quite a few of us there. This what looked like someone walking past and then looking round and then walking on. We thought, well, is it, isn't it? It's not the laser. So I took the battery out, put a clean, fresh battery back in case the laser was flickering in itself, or battery was stopping. Something, we were trying to debunk it. No matter what we were trying, we're going left, right, forward, back, new batteries, all these sorts of things. But again, after a few minutes of standing there, you could see what looked like something going backwards and forwards past the corridor. But, well, that's really, really strange. So we did that for and we had a name, and I did an EVP recording down there. And so can you tell us your name, whoever's down the corridor? Can you tell us who you are? And then when I played back the EVP, we could hear what sounded like, was it Martha, Jen?
Well, it was
Esther?
Estelle,
something like it sounded like that. You couldn't quite, you could hear it, but you think, is it Estelle? Is it Esther? I don't know. We couldn't determine which it was. So we're saying, and then I said, quiet everybody, we're going to do another recording. Let's see if we can find out who it is. So everybody was brilliantly quiet, because sometimes people talk, or tummies rumble, and all sorts of things happen, don't they? Somebody coughs in the middle of it. So it was perfectly quiet. I think Gemma was there, a few of us there. And then we said, can you, and then you hear Julia, I must send it over to you and you can have a listen. You hear Julia say, can you tell us where you are? And a split second later, it says, behind you, in a woman's voice. And because Gemma and Jen kept looking behind them, saying, there's someone behind us. We say, no, it's not. There's no one there. Everybody's looking forward. But they kept looking towards the door where the scarecrow is. And then just after that, we had that recording come through, I'm behind you. And they kept saying, Gemma will tell you, that they kept feeling someone was there. But obviously, when you turn around, nobody's there. But, so that was a good capture on an EVP, sort of blurring out. And it was dead quiet. No one upstairs, no one outside. And it was just us group, no one in any rooms. And it was just deadly silent, which is what you want. The deadly silence, isn't it? When there's nothing, you don't pick up someone's tummy rumbling, or someone smacking their lips, or somebody chewing a gum, or whatever it may be. You pick it up, don't you, sometimes? Yeah. Or you hear someone upstairs talking, but it literally says, I'm behind you. And then Gemma and Jen jumped. So at one stage, we were down there. What was we doing? Oh, that was right. We turned round because everybody was going to go back and get a cup of tea and bits and pieces. So I said Jen wanted to go back because her back was hurting. So I said, all right, I've got a torch. I'll take you back to the stairs and off you go. He said, all right then. So I turned around and literally, I don't know, 2 foot in front of it, 1 foot, something like that. And as I got to the door where the scarecrow is, Jen suddenly, did you scream, Jen? She suddenly like screamed, where are you? Where are you? I can't see you. And as I turned around, I could not see anybody. It was total darkness. There.
I could not see his face, his hands, nothing. Nothing
It was
at
like
all.
someone was standing between us. That's what it sort
Yeah. And then he suddenly put his light on. He doesn't know where the scarecrow attacked him.
Because I felt something, because I have like a tactical belt and I have all my power packs and stuff in it, I wear.
Yeah.
And I went, what the and I thought something grabbed it. But I'm thinking I backed into the scarecrow. Because when we turned around, the hands were going like that.
Yeah. Oh, you were nowhere near it. I screamed. I absolutely screamed.
It made everybody jump because literally I couldn't see them and Jen couldn't see me. It was like someone actually had walked between us. It was that black, that dark.
That corridor there kept going very, very dark.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Gemma thought someone either pulled her or touched her or something from behind. I kept looking down there.
By that door, you know, the door where you come in. And like say with the EVP, you know, Gemma and Jen kept looking behind us all. And I could, what are you looking at? Oh, I don't know. There's something behind it.
But
and then
someone was,
you know, on the EVP it said I'm behind you. So that sort of validated a little bit why they kept looking behind instead of where we were all looking at the laser grid. So after getting attacked by the scarecrow, Jen screaming, and so you can imagine a bit of hysterical laughter, so which was good. It sort of lightened up the atmosphere. So we wandered off, took Jen back up, and then a group of us, myself, Gemma's friend, who else is there? Luke, Amy. We went back downstairs again to the room that had the table and the sofas in there. So we thought we're going to try. Let's go for this. Let's go for this room because we knew there's something in that basement, but I don't know. You just couldn't place. You couldn't get a solid evidence. Do you know what I mean? So it's like there it is. Look, walking towards us. That sort of. But you knew something was in that area. That you just get that feeling. So we went in the room. So I had my camera propped up. I had my camera on the stand, sort of a little stand I've got for it. So it's an infrared camera. So I put that on. So it's recording the whole of the room. So that gives you a good idea what's going on and where everybody are in the room. So if anything happens, you can say, you were there, you were there, you were there, you were there, you know, and I always like to do that. So it shows where everybody is. So there is no qualms about if someone was wandering, someone was tapping the feet, whatever. Anyway, the camera was there. So we were doing a bit of calling out and we heard a tap in the corridor and what we thought looked like a face looked through the glass, but nothing you'd say is substantial. It was just sort of corner of the eye that I don't know whether, I don't know, that type of stuff. So it's very active. So I said to them, we were standing, let's do a bit of table tipping on the really, really heavy table. And literally you can't pick it up. So I thought, if this moves, then this is incredible. If this actually moves this table. And that was a really heavy table. I thought this will be incredible. So we're standing there and we've got our hands on the table. Obviously, nothing's happening. It's just dead still. Nothing till Luke was on the sofa at the very end watching, and the camera was and then somehow the camera just rolled over on the stand and rolled along to the sofa, but rolled over on the sofa. Yeah. And I'm looking, thinking, how is that rolled over?
No, that's interesting.
Because that's on a tripod, so that can't roll over.
I'll tell you why.
Go on, then.
So you know the room we're on about with the pram in?
Yeah.
We set up a static in the doorway pointing in towards that room and had a mobile camera, right?
Right.
And we're in there, and that was the room where we had the most uncomfortable, intense sort of feeling. Everybody felt it. Everybody felt it. Like something was in there, was not happy we were there.
Yeah.
It's like, fair enough. And it's like for some reason, I said I could feel something, because there's a little corridor bit in there which goes.
That's it, yeah.
So I felt something was there. So I went out there and had a look and was not sure. I couldn't really hear anything, but I could still feel something. As I'm coming back, because I had me little torch on, and I've looked at my camera, and the camera was off, and it hadn't even bleeped at us that it turned off, and all the cables were pulled out of it.
No way.
So we had the cable pulled out for the microphone, then we had the cable pulled out for the UV light, and then we had the cable pulled out of the actual camera. So the power bank was just sat there on. And we can't figure out why. And when I've gone back to look through the footage, the camera is from, because we were a little bit before that, where you come up that corridor and it tees off at the very end, doesn't it?
That's it.
And it doesn't really go anywhere. We were there, and from there till we got to the door, the camera goes on, off, on, off. It's recording for about 10 seconds, then turns off, then records, then turns off. And then when it gets put down, it just goes off.
That's interesting, because, as I say, out my one actually rolled.
Yeah.
So, and I'm thinking, well, okay, maybe it's just rolled over off the tripod. These things happen. So I stood it back up again, put it back in the same position, sort of stood it up, didn't touch anything, didn't spread the lead, just put it back up. And the funny thing was, it was off, even though it was recording, but it was off.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, that's strange. It's gone off. Oh, well, okay. Maybe it did roll over on itself. I don't know. I don't think so, because it was on a solid tripod and it just literally rolled over and then rolled and then stopped.
It's
and I'm
solid
thinking,
floors down there as well. It's not wooden.
No, because I stood it back up on the thing and then bounced on the floor, sort of shook the furniture and all of that, and we could not get it to roll over again. It would not fall over. So make of that what you want. I don't know. So anyway, we're still trying to get this huge table to move. Come on, move it. That would make your night if that was to move. Then we were there and everybody suddenly went quiet. That eerily quietness. Like nobody was, like you were waiting for something to come. You knew something was coming. Because, and Gemma will tell you, we were there and Gemma kept saying, something's touching the back of my head. Something keeps touching me. And she turned her back on the table because she thought something was coming from behind. She said, I'm not touching the table. Something's in this room. There's something walking around there. And with a few occasions, we heard the footsteps walking around the room. Dug, 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 dug. I thought, well, okay, you're here. We know you're here. And then the room went icy cold between me and one of Gemma's friends. And we're still on the table. And he said to me, I didn't say anything to him. He said, do you actually feel very, very cold? I feel really cold. And my back was really cold, but his side that was facing me was freezing. His hand, he said, my hand's so cold. And so you knew it was either between us or it's around that type of area. And then I say, come on, we come down to see you. Come and interact with us. We're trying to help you, and we mean you no harm and no disrespect. We come to talk to you, but all the stuff. And then a few minutes later, we'd come between Gemma and this bloke, because Gemma was like now on edge, because we'd all heard the breath audibly, not through the recorder, actually audibly. And then there was the biggest bang on the table, like someone had slammed their hand down on the table, literally bang. So you can imagine the sheer panic. I put my light on to see if something fell on the table, but there was nothing on the table. I'm looking around the floor. Everybody's trying to get out the door. I'm like looking. I want to know what the bang is, where it's come from. Is something fell off the sofa? Is there something somebody dropped in it? There's nothing on the floor at all. Nothing. Hi, Tanya. Nothing on the table. Nothing at all. And we're like, and they're all trying, because what they didn't like, because I said, what I'll do is I'll shut the door on the room to make it a little bit more quiet so we can't hear if there's anything down the corridors. So we had the door shut on that room. Of course, that made the panic even more, because you're struggling to get the door open. And it literally was, I don't know, like a breath, and then seconds later, like someone had literally slammed their hand on the top of the table in anger, like "Get out!" That type of "Get out now!" That type of bang, and it was it was obviously sheer panic in the room, you can imagine. But I'm like looking, what's bang? What's bang? There's got to be something that's hit the table. It's got to be a brick, a light, a torch. It's got to be something that's fell on the table. I could not find nothing, absolutely bloody nothing in that room that would have hit that table that hard. And then and everybody's going, "Oh, I think it's time for a cup of tea now." After your heart rate's about 150,
you can't leave now.
I sort of, they went off a bit, and I sort of came back a little bit later. I thought I've got to find out who this is, and the only name I could get in there was a name called George. Someone, his name was George. And the other thing I got when I was down there was a gamekeeper, because I'd assumed that basement would have been the kitchen, the servants' quarters, that type of area for the whole of the house. Because if you go into the room where the pram is, and then you go a bit beyond, Jamie, there's a
big metal door.
Yeah.
And did you go? There's like a little larder.
Yeah, that's to your right, isn't it? With two little larders. Did you? Somebody else went in there, so they didn't stay long. Yeah, they said they didn't stay in there long because they got frightened because he was tapping on the door. So they came out and said, "Well, I don't know what the tapping was. It might have been the door creaking a little bit." They said,
"That's quite a heavy door to move, mind."
Isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I said to them, "Did you have a look at the door?" They went, "We didn't stay there. As soon as we heard the noise, we were off." So, that was quite funny. But I went down there, and we had this feeling down there that this man, George, and the gamekeeper, and now there's something to do with the bang on the table. Quite what went bang? I could not find anything on that table, anything underneath that table. And I quickly looked at the camera, and the camera's still upright, still in the same position where I left it, but it was switched off again. So,
yeah,
whether we were not meant to film something, I don't know.
I'll properly look through our basement footage.
The larder feels very strange. Yeah.
So we had our mobile camera, and that filmed the whole time.
Right.
So whether the spirits didn't feel comfortable enough to come and turn it on and off and etc. But we had the same down there from that pram situation. We had the same. All of a sudden, there was a cold air that circulated down there. And for some reason, it wanted to get between specific people at certain times, and it tried to make people separate.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure we tried table tipping there, and it didn't do nothing. But as soon as we put the glass on the table, it was aggressive. Not like a nice smooth glass. It was just zipping, it was angry. But I can't remember I can't remember if we did the spirit board down there or not. I'll have to have a look through and see if we got any names.
But Julia did a glass on that table when we were first down there with a few guests. And again, it started off a bit slow, the glass, and then suddenly it was, can you take the glass to the candle? Because we put a candle on the table, like a little flickering candle. Go take it to the candle for yes, and take it the opposite way for no. Sort of give it a target because we didn't have any letters around the table.
Yeah.
And again, it started off quite slowly moving. I wasn't on it. Julia wasn't on it. It was a couple of the guests that were doing it. So we were off the board. We were not touching anything. So it's not down to us. And about 3 women were doing it, quite young girls. They're going, "Oh my God, the glass is moving." We're saying, "Are you angry with us being down here? Can you take the glass to yes and the opposite way?" And literally, as quick as that, it was straight to the candle. It was obviously angry about us being there because it literally, like you say, Jay, it started off quite slowly, quite methodically, like you expect. And then suddenly the women was going, "Whoa, it's gone." And the glass literally shot across like someone was trying to throw it off the table. And we were standing, me, Julia, and I think Gemma might have been there watching the glass thinking, "No, that's quick. That glass is moving very quick on that table." And a couple of times I thought whatever was in there was getting agitated because the glass was going round.
Yeah. You just got to watch which way where the glass goes.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was looking at. And I thought he's getting agitated. Whatever the spirit's in here is not happy with us being in.
Yeah.
And it was like, would you like us to go? straight to, yes, straight back again. You're thinking, wow, this is really, really on it tonight.
We had the same thing. We put the glass out, and we always start by doing circles. Say, look, we're going to build up energy, follow our pattern, and join in with us. And literally, as soon as we done it, said, "Do you want to do any circles?" It was just like, and it's like, oh, okay, this has got energy already. This is all right. And like I say, from that, it was aggressive, and it was making a lot of people feel really uncomfortable to be in that room.
Yeah,
it really did.
I was standing next to one of Gemma's friends, a man who'd never been on a ghost hunt before, never ever done it, interested but never done it. He said, I just thought I'd really need to go on one just to experience it. And he kept looking at me going, why am I so cold? What's going on? Why do I feel there's something near me? And I said, you're perfectly safe, you're okay. And he said, are you cold? And this side that was sort of towards him was absolutely freezing my arm, but my other side was warm. And I'm thinking, right, so you're between us or you're wandering around us. And he's going, is you sure it's safe? I said, yeah. He said, my hand is so cold. It's literally, and I touched his hand and it literally was icy cold. Like spirit was standing between us. That sort of, I wouldn't say it had hold of our hands. I wouldn't say that because I had no feeling of anything touching us, but it was like it was there, like trying to nose in and have a look what was going on. So that was, really interesting. But that room was phenomenal. Tanya's put, there's a gentleman who prefers you ask permission. Should have told you, Jamie. He also is more responsive if you say please and thank you. Well, we always say please and thank you anyway. It's about being respectful of spirit. Yeah, it's I always say, spirit, can you communicate with us, please? And when they do say thank you for that. It's about being respectful.
We do that, but then when we get one which gets a bit agitated, I can't help myself. But then I get into a bit of a goad, shall I say? I like, right, if this has got enough energy to do all this, maybe you can do something really. So I can't help myself. I get a little bit goady sometimes.
I think we do, don't we? We're saying, come on, do something.
Tanya knows about that.
Because we were standing there and it was quiet, and I kept saying, come on, I know you're here. You need to do something. You need to show us what you can do. Come on, I know you're in the room. I know where you're standing. Come and do something that will make us jump, laugh, shout, scream, run out the room. But I know you can do it. I just know you can do it. So come on. And then we heard the breath and thought, oh, and literally audibly heard it because everybody heard it the same. Went, what was that? And then bang on the table. So respectfully, I said, thank you for doing that. It was a very loud bang because I could not find anything that would have caused the bang because that's a solid table. And it's not as though we lifted it up because all our hands were on the top. So we never lifted the table up. I lifted it up at the very beginning to see how heavy it was. And I thought that would be impressive. If we do table tipping with this and it moves, then whatever's in there has got immense amounts of energy. And you can really sort of get it to get on the game. But we had nothing from the table, but the glass on the top, like you say, was a little bit fast and aggressive. And then the breath and then the bang, and the shadow. So when we went back upstairs for a cup of tea, the guy that was running it, he said, oh, what did you get in the basement? He said, well, it's going to sound quite mad, but it was like someone's walking backwards and forwards at the end of the tunnel. But we really can't be 100% sure. We're really not sure on that. We're in the middle. We're not, we just can't work that out. So we're in the middle. We're not sure whether it was a laser flicking. We moved the laser, told him what we did. And he said, can I tell you a little bit of a story about down there? I said, okay. So he's a medium, isn't he, Jen? A psychic. He's the guy that helps run the house. And he's been down there on his own at night with an SLS camera up when he's locking up. And he said, when you go down the basement and you look beyond the stairs to the wall at the back, he's actually seen a man walking backwards and forwards. And that's the entrance that the servants would have used to go upstairs to the dining room. So you would have seen people go backwards and forwards past the end. Okay, it sort of verifies what we saw. Maybe not, maybe. And he said he had the SLS camera and he was wandering down there as he was locking up, make sure everybody had gone. And he saw the figure appear in the camera. So he's looking at the camera wall because it was dark. He saw the stick figure appear. And as he looked up, he said he saw a man like look at him down the corridor and then look back and then disappeared down the corridor. So he's thinking, well, there must be someone here. So he's, excuse me, we're shutting now. It's all, he got down there and obviously gone, nothing. He said, so what you've seen down there is what I've seen via the camera and by his eye. He said, the man actually looked at him. He said it was like a dark shadow, but you could tell the head turned, looked at him and then carried on doing what it was doing. He said, but it's quite common to see shadows going backwards and forwards. So if you do go back there, it'd be interesting to stick a camera there, mate, and see whether you can get a thing. Hi, Alan, welcome. First time I went there, I encountered an angry man down there, and he returned on Saturday and took Stuart over. It's like you're saying, Jamie, whoever it was down there is not a happy person. Who it is, but I got the name George. So whether George has anything to do with it, I don't know. But I heard the name George. So I thought, well, okay, we'll just make a note of that anyway. Because you never know, it may come up somewhere along the line. Yeah. But whoever he was.
But I think mainly they work as a team, so they bounce off each other's energy. So 1 minute one's goading you and then the other takes over, because the way the glass was responding at certain times seems like something was playing with us. And that's when the cold air was really getting strong. So I'm wondering if, maybe a couple of spirits that have passed in that area or in that place for whatever reason are just bouncing off of each other.
Yeah. Yeah. I did pick up what I through the energy of a gamekeeper. So I'm not sure whether it's him and this angry man that are playing a bit of a joke, or they just don't like you being in their space, maybe. I don't know. But, like you say, it's a bit disconcerting in there when it gets cold, because you think, and the room goes dark, and you think, well, here it comes. And you always know it's the calm before the storm, isn't it? You get that sudden nothingness. And we're all standing on going, here it comes. Something's going to happen. Because the coldness was really getting cold. And the room was dark. You know how it goes dark and then darker again? You're thinking, well, I can see the doorway, but I can't see the dark.
Yeah.
But you can see a doorway, and then the whole room disappears. You think, why is it so dark in here?
You question, is that happening, or is my eyes just decided to switch off for a minute? Because it can't focus on anything.
Yeah. And my eyes trying to look at something that's not actually there, so your vision gets a little bit narrow. I don't know quite how that works, but it was in that room. It was suddenly got dark, and we couldn't see the door or the window or anything in the room. And I thought, here it comes. Something's going to happen here, because you got that feeling of the energy changing, the atmosphere changing, the coldness appearing out of nowhere. So, like you say, whether there was two there, one behind us and one to the other side, but I say we heard the and then Jen was going, what was that? And we all heard it in her ear. And then this massive bang, and you sort of couldn't, how it was trying to turn you around, like you think, where was that coming from? Sort of looking the opposite way but I immediately got my torch and lit up the table, because I'm thinking it's got to be something on the table that's gone over. Looked at my camera, the camera's still up on its tripod. I looked under the table to see if it'd been moved. The table was still in its same position. Looked around the sofas. There was nothing there that would have made the bang. And the only way we could reproduce it was literally a hand slamming on the table. So read into that, I don't know, but we couldn't. We sort of walked out and went, I don't know. But the breath and the bang, you've got to walk out and think, well, it's just done what we asked it to do. So is it wishful thinking, or is it really angry with us?
Like you say, you've got multiple witnesses saying that whatever it was sounded like a slam on the table.
Yeah.
So you've got basically undeniable proof that something had happened there. Yeah. Whether, did it slam it down? You're trusting that nobody's jerked the table around it, etc. So,
well, really, we were sort of hands-on. Gemma had her back to the table because she kept thinking something was touching the back of her head all the time. Luke and his mum Luke and Amy was sitting in the sofas over one side. So there was only myself. Gemma was sort of had her back leaning on the table. Myself, Gemma's friend. Who else was on there? Amy was on the table. So there's only 3 of it, but we all had our hands on the top.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
If I look at something, I like the table. I wanted to pick the table up, see how heavy it was.
Yeah.
To see, get an idea. Could Spirit move this? And I'm thinking to myself, if he could move this table, then it's immensely strong because it was a really heavy table. You try it next time you go, it's really a real heavy table. But that table never lifted because we had our fingers resting slightly on the top.
Yeah, you'd feel it.
And I couldn't feel the table jump. It was literally like someone had slammed their hand down on the
Just
table.
get the vibration through your fingers.
Yeah. And you could feel the table not shake, but you knew something had happened to the table. And you think, whoa, of course the door was shut. Everybody's panicking to get out the door. But obviously I'm still there looking, trying to find out what went bang, where was it? What was
don't
it?
do that. I just freeze. They just go.
I
don't know what to do. That was a noise or a bang or I'm stuck.
How funny. Gemma run into her friend who was on the end of the table. She'd run into her. She was screaming and it was just like a bit of chaos in the room like it does. It's quite funny when you laugh at it now, but at the time, that bang just came out of nowhere. But we should have expected it because there was the calm before the storm. So we should have expected something to happen. But when it does make you jump. And Tanya's put the temperature dropped 8 degrees for us on the second time, summer, and then the activity went mad. Been 5 times and we're back in August with August Everglade.
We are.
So you'll have a great time. It's our first event there with Paranation, obviously with Julia and that. And it didn't disappoint. It didn't disappoint. You hear people say, "Oh, it's very active." It's really on its game. And sometimes you go there and think, "Well, what was all the hype for?" There's nothing.
Yeah, sometimes it happens, but that's just spiritual energy, isn't it? It all depends.
We went there on the, okay, something happens, brilliant. If it's a quiet night, then we've had a tour around a fantastic, beautiful house. Either way, you come out with a smile because it was an absolutely fantastic house.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether Alan's still on here, but I think his friend took a picture out from outside looking up to the top windows. And there was a blue light in one of the windows at the very top, but you can't go to the 3rd floor because it's not allowed up there. You can only go to 2 floors.
I think that's the security cameras.
No, because he took the picture.
We had that in that meeting room where where you had your tea and coffee. We had that changing colour in there.
Right. So he took a picture. I don't know whether Alan's still on here and whether he can send it. And if he sends it, Jamie, we'll send it to you. You have a look at it. And it's like a picture of the top floor. So you can see the windows up. And there's a blue light in one of the windows. And he said to me, he came in and said, is there anybody up on the 3rd floor? I said, no, you can't go up there. Why is that then? He said, well, there's a blue light up there. I said, oh, well, that's strange. Go and ask the guy out there that runs he'll know. If there's a blue light, it could be a refrigerator. It could be some kitchen equipment with a blue light on. So he wandered out there, spoke to the guy, and the guy said, no, there's no blue lights up there. He said, but what's the blue light in the picture? He showed him the picture. He said, there's nothing up there. There's nothing up there or no one. There is no blue lights on that landing. And when you actually, and they kept looking at the picture, when you actually zoom in on the picture, get it as wide. I'd like you to see this, Jamie. I'll see if I can get him to send it and get you to have a look.
I'll message Alan afterwards because I got him on my list.
Yeah, ask him if he wouldn't mind sending you the picture. Have a look at the picture. But when you look at the picture, you zoom in. It's like someone's leaning out the window because the window's disappeared behind them, but there's nobody there. How do I send it?
You can send it later on. I'll message you, Alan, if you want. And
I'll send it to Angela on South Coast Ghost. Have a look and see what you make of it. It'd be interesting to see what you make of it. But even the guy that was running it, Tony, I think his name was, said there is no one and no blue lights or no lights on that 3rd floor. That 3rd floor is isolated from anything else from the building. He said, so there is no blue lights on it. So I'm thinking a refrigerator, maybe a blue light off a machine, maybe they got an aircon machine up there, or I don't know. And he had a look and he went, and later on I came back down, he said, can I just speak to you about this picture? And I said, yeah, of course. And he showed me and he said, it looks like someone leaning out the window because the window actually disappears behind whatever's there.
Okay.
But have a look at it, mate. See if he can get it over to you. and you, Andrew, you have a look as well and see what you can make of it. But it's a really interesting picture. And that was from out the back of the house looking upwards. So if you're there in August, pop outside and take some pictures and see whether you can pick up this blue light up on the 3rd floor. I think it's like sort of the central type window. Alan will tell you.
We didn't even know there was that wonderful fountain at the front of the building until I saw your video. Because when we went, it was like about the same time again, August, and it was pitch black. So we just come up and walked up the gravel and then I was like showing all like the crew. I said, look at this fountain in front of the house. They went, well, we must have come in a different door, and I'm like, I don't think you can.
No, there's only one door in. We sort of, because it was so light till so late, I thought I'd do a quick live from it because we were just waiting for a few other people. Yeah. And sort of, caught me by surprise really, because I was going to take a picture and he said, going live, 3, 2, 1. I'm like, hello, it's Paul. And I'm like, oh dear, how does this happen? So I did a bit live. And then as you turn around, I thought I'm walking down to that fountain at the bottom is like a pergola. And then if you look up, you can see the fountain and the house. I thought it was a great picture.
Yeah, it was.
Of just showing you, and then you saw the picture of myself, Cheryl and Julia and Poppy, I think, in one picture. But I thought if we're standing that far back, you can actually see the lead up to the house and the back, which will make a good picture to be able to get what the house actually looks like. The fountain's very pretty, but it wasn't running. But she said it does run sometimes, and they light it, but not very often. So that'd be an interesting picture at night to have that lit up with the house.
Oh yeah,
it'd be fantastic. A beautiful picture because all the trees are really maturing and coming well there. So
Alan sent me the photos, so I'll put them up.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
See what you make of it. See the blue light on the window?
Oh yeah, on the top right.
That's it. Look at the picture. But the frame of the window disappears, look.
Can you do a bit of zoomy, Angela?
Yeah, there's a closer up one.
A really, really interesting picture.
I think that's the one.
But the guy said there's no that's it, there.
Yeah,
and if you look, I can zoom in on my phone. You know, on your phone you can zoom the screen in.
Yeah.
And if you zoom in, you actually lose the window frame behind the blue light. But there is no blue light there. There's nothing up there. It's empty. So when you were there, when you were there, mate, have a wander outside.
Yeah, I'll take a picture like that a couple of times. I'll do it all through the night and just see what happens.
And see whether you pick up, because when the guy that was running it showed him, he said, there's nothing up there. They're empty. And he said, I can't believe you've got a light. There is no lights up there. Nothing.
Right. Cool.
He said, so I don't know what you've caught on there. He said, and he kept looking at it. He said, but what's the fascinating bit is the window frame disappears behind the light. So the light must have been in front of the window. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The light has got to be in front of the window, not inside the window, because you lose the window frame behind it.
Yeah, like I say, I'll get Angela. If not, I'll message Alan as well and get him to send them to me, and I'll have a proper look at those.
But if you
that
can
is interesting,
isn't it?
Because when you first look at it, like from distance, to me it looks like it's a light of some equipment.
Yeah,
just like,
and that's what I thought
through the window. But I thought maybe when I see it closer, it might look different.
Yeah, I thought, and I said to him, "Oh, have you got air conditioning? What window was that? Out the back, Gemma, 3rd floor up out the back." And I said to him, maybe aircon or something. Tanya's put, there are flats and an attic on the 3rd floor, but there's no one in there. He said it was empty. Everything was empty there. There's no lights up there at all, he was saying. It's around the back by the football goal. That's it, Alan. Yeah. Because when they showed me, I thought, well, that's a fascinating picture. That is a great capture as well. And then all through the night, they obviously kept going back to the picture, which is brilliant. And when you zoom in on the picture, you actually lose the window frame behind the light, which would mean the light would have to be in front of the window. Can't be inside. Because if it was inside, you'd lose half the light, wouldn't you?
We'll do some. I'll try and between me and Tam, we'll try and remember that one and take some.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see it. It's a great capture.
Yeah,
you know, they were outside taking pictures like you do of the windows, because you never know who's looking out of them sometimes, do you? And he come back, he said, have a look at this picture. And I'm like looking at it thinking, wow, that is wow, what is that?
I'm terrible for not taking pictures anyway.
Oh, we always take pictures. Julius, one we always got
like I say, because for me, if I'm going to take a picture, I need to take at least 3 or 5 just stood, and then maybe move and do 3 or 5, because then at least you can go through them and see what you capture. If it changes,
I do on my phone. If you feel something behind you on your phone, you can do a shutter speed, like with
yeah.
And I've taken selfies before when I think something's behind me, and I've actually taken a selfie. And one of the places we did is a haunted gym. We actually had a face over our shoulder in one of the pictures. But we often do that, don't we, Andrew? If you feel something, you take chick over your shoulder and walk off.
Yeah.
Because whatever it is, you sense it's behind you or around you.
The best picture I've seen where they've took multiple bursts was Shepton Mallet.
Oh, okay.
And this lady said she could hear like children giggling. And so she's in, I'm not sure what wing it was, but she was looking down like the corridor of the prison, like the wing, and there was a wet floor sign like in the middle. And she's took a picture, just like 4 or 5, and it looks like you see a bit of a mass on the first picture, and then it looks like a little kid is hidden behind the wet floor sign, and you can see its face with this white mass. And then the next pictures, it just disappears. That's like, it was the best. I've said that's the best like photo evidence I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I've never seen nothing like it. Was literally, you could see like it looked like a skull, and you could see the sort of configuration of a child sort of face in it. It was crazy. I was trying to convince her to send some over so I could but she was a little bit, maybe at the end of the night we'll have a chat about it. And I'm like, that's fine.
I understand.
It's like, some people well, that's my best evidence. You're not hogging it.
yeah. And don't you always get that?
Enough. Yeah.
But, when we get some really good EVPs, we always send it over and people have a listen. We don't hog it because once I've listened to it a few times and saved it on a card, then I just delete everything off my voice recorder anyway, so it doesn't get bleed over between recordings. Sometimes you can get that, can't you? Bleed over between recordings. So the picture, the blue light outside, if Alan will send it to you, have a look, Jamie, and see what you think. Andrew, you should have a look and see what you can make of it. But it's a great capture. Whatever it is in front of the glass and not behind the glass. As say, if it was behind the glass, I think the window frame would cut half the blue light out. But when you actually zoom in, the frame disappears behind the light. So I can't see how it could be inside, but the guy assures us there's nobody up there and no equipment in them top floor. So, you sort of got to look into that and really sort of dig in and see whether you can make something of the picture. It may be something, maybe nothing. Who knows, Anyway, so all in all, it's a good night, active night.
Yeah. Did you get anything on the top floor?
The second floor?
Yeah.
We did a transfiguration in nursery.
Right, okay.
That went really well. Really well. Cheryl did it at first, and then Luke had a go, and then I had a go. But when I had a go, it was when Luke had a go, it was like we were communicating with a disabled person. Like I did, and you got that feeling, the way some of the movements he was doing was like a disabled person, not being disrespectful to disabled people in any way. I'm not like that at all. But it just sort of reminded you of a bit like that. And then it was just the way the movements were just not, I wouldn't say not human, but they were just different from what you would expect. And then questioning the man again, and this is Cheryl, but on one stage it looked like her eyes were open. It's difficult to see on here, but it looked like her eyes were actually open because you had the headphones on, and obviously the red light going on, and everybody was asking different questions. And when she was doing it, I was sort of sitting on a sofa behind, sort of watching it, because I like to view, observe things going on watch people's body behaviour, body language and what people are doing. And then suddenly I saw an image of a load of women sitting around a table holding hands like a Victorian seance. And that's exactly what I saw in my head with the candle, 3 lit candles in the middle of the table. So I said, oh, how about everybody connect their hands, all the women? Because funny enough, it was all women around the table as well. But we were sitting back off the table. We weren't near the table. We were observing it. And they connected hands. And that's when Cheryl started to change, when they connected. It's like they would have had a Victorian seance there at some stage, and it was that vision. And then people sitting round that table in the nursery. I don't know whether you want to try it when you're there and see whether you can get a reaction. But it looks like, though her eyes are shut, but it looks like her eyes actually open and looks around the room. And she's like looking strangely at everybody. And you think, well, that's not a movement that's normal, because it wasn't like a straight like that. It was jerking movements like that. That's not, if you were looking, you would be doing sort of looking around the room, and then kept getting names come through. And then when I did it, Lute was quite shame Cheryl's not in it, because it freaked Cheryl out, the movements. And it was quite, when you looked at it, you think, oh, that's not a natural movement for your head to be completely rolled right over. And that's when we did that, joined hands, put a rem in the middle, and K2, everything went off at once. We had K2's, the shadow box, and a tripwire on the table, and all of them were going off. Every time something happened to that person, the K2s would go straight to red, the tripwire lit up like a temperature change, and the shadow box started to light up the LEDs and then went out, and the K2s went back to green again, because we put K2s around the room. So we even wandered around the room checking different parts of the room, make sure we're not picking up a telephone box in the next room or some sort of junction box somewhere in the house that you could be picking up. The ceilings are quite high upstairs, so obviously you can't get as high to check the ceiling. But on the wander around, there was nothing, no machinery in the room. There's a mirror, if I remember rightly, to the right-hand side. And then the room was quite calm. They put the K2s down, and they were just quite happy sitting there in the green. Nothing on the tripwire, nothing on the shadow box. Alan there's a portal in the ladies' toilet on that floor. I never went in there, Alan. Believe it or not, I was in the men's toilet.
Nor would I.
That's quite funny. Who's been in there, Alan? Alan? Is there something you want to tell us tonight on the live? Keep it clean.
when you do your sort of torch transfiguration this time round, did you have like an Estes method going on, or was it just blank hearing? It was.
No. We had an Estes method. We had the headphones with necrophonic going.
Oh, okay.
So the white noise on the necrophonic.
Yeah.
You get that solid white noise. So we had that going on the headphones, so you couldn't hear. You had your eyes shut, obviously the torch on. You couldn't hear what anybody was saying in the room. It was dead quiet. Obviously noise cancelling headphones. And all you could hear was shh of the necrophonic, the white noise of the necrophonic. And then occasionally you'd get a burst. I'm here. 67. And then it'd go quiet again. You wouldn't get anything. And when I had a go. I had a go at it. And I could hear what you hear, why you hear, all these types of things, but I'm not sure. And then, bugger me, I heard a woman singing. Literally singing in the headphones, and I'm thinking, what's this picked up? Yeah. And I sort of listened to it, and it was like, we'll meet again, don't know where, don't know, and I could hear her singing it, and I'm like, took my headphones off, thinking someone was singing in the room, although I couldn't hear. I took it off. They went, "Oh, why'd you take it off?" I said, "Who's singing?" So nobody's singing. I said, "Someone's singing." Someone singing in the room.
That's what you're looking for, something in the white noise.
Yeah. And I put them back on, and I could hear it. We'll meet again. Don't. And I took them off and went, who's singing? Someone's singing in the room. I can see someone singing. And everybody's going, no one is singing. No one. Everybody's quiet. But I'm telling you, I can hear singing. and literally a woman singing that song. But to me, it sounded like she was out on the landing. You know, the dead spot on the landing. To me, it sounded like she was out there. And I thought it was someone in the room singing because there was a lady quite close to me. And I looked at her and said, "Are you singing?" She went, "No, we're all quiet." I said, "No, someone is singing. I've heard them." So, and I couldn't believe what I'd heard. That would be because it was a war office. It makes perfect sense. Well, so it was a war office during the war. So that song would make sense being there, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And I'd heard it through that white noise. And I thought, these are noise cancelling. So who's singing in the room? So I took them off. Asked the girls. And I went, "Who's singing?" They went, "Nobody's singing." I said, "Someone's singing." "Nobody's singing." I put them back on and I could still hear it. I said, "There is someone singing, but it doesn't sound like it's here. It's out on the landing."
Yeah.
It was like someone was.
They would have had a radio on constantly in the War Office, listening to news bulletins, etc., wouldn't they?
Yeah. And chances are that's probably a wartime favourite song. I'm not sure.
We'll definitely we'll definitely look at the nursery and maybe do like a link seance in there.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll
Definitely link your hands.
I probably won't do like that trans thing because that's sort of not my cup of tea, that. But I'll definitely do a link up with some other devices and see what happens.
Yeah, definitely
we didn't
link
get
your
much
hands.
up there.
But
we went in the
hands.
meeting room. Yeah, we'll definitely link hands. We went in the meeting room like across the hall, the bigger one with the big table.
Yeah.
The only thing we got there, which we can't debunk and we can't give as evidence, is sod's law that the mobile camera didn't really pick it up because of the way people stood. And the static camera we had set up, someone had sat down because they were feeling a bit tired. And when they got up, didn't pull the chair in. And we had someone put their phone on the sofa. But nobody was sat someone was sat the far end of the sofa and the phone was that end. And you can just about see it on the static and then on the mobile that it just flies off the sofa. But no, not like it slid off where someone's moved. It actually zipped off the sofa. But because we didn't get a clear view of it, we can't tell why it come off the sofa properly.
What happened?
Which is really frustrating.
And it always, mate. It always happens like that.
There. We didn't get much glass work. We didn't get much on the spirit board. We didn't get nothing through the table. We had a couple of possible bangs and that, but there are refrigerators and that in that room because it's a meeting room.
Yeah.
So
we
definitely had a few more bangs in the hallway than we did in that room.
Yeah, see, I think because it was to me like there'd been a Victorian seance done in that room. Yeah. And I could see the women holding hands and the candle in the middle with the 3 candlestick. And I said to everybody, just link hands and see if this energy changed. And it did. It literally changed. Yeah. Like they recognised what was going on. You know, that we know what that is. Yeah. And then the singing was intriguing. I'd never heard singing come through a white noise before. And I'm like, and I could have sworn someone in the room was singing. That's how clear it was. And I took them off and went, "Who's singing?" They went, "No one."
Well, we got someone is singing. So we might try that with maybe the spirit box.
And if that was a war office, that would make sense, wouldn't it? Why we heard that song
on and just see if we can get like the sound of the singing or like an old radio coming through as well. That'd be good.
Yeah. If it was a war office, then you might pick up like telephones ringing and things that. That type of thing in the white noise, because it would have been a very energized rooms, wouldn't it? Because there'd be lots going on during the war.
Yeah, very busy.
People rushing from room to room and top secret this and that and this and that. Radios going, operators, phones ringing. They would have had probably operators pulling out the cables and putting them in. Trying to connect phone calls. So it might be worth listening in that white noise. But I heard that song, and I know of the song, but I heard that song in that white noise. But it sounded like it was on the landing, not in the room.
Yeah, so, strange, isn't it?
Very strange night. Very strange night. Things that you really want to say, yes, it happened, but you really got to sort of think about what we'd heard when we heard it. So I'm going to go back over the EVPs and have another listen with I have Bose headphones, the noise cancelling ones.
Yeah.
So I can really hear quietly into the recording. When you hold it to your ear, you can hear it, like I'm behind you, but you think, right, I need to see if anybody else spoke at that time. But it was definitely quiet when we got that. So hopefully we've got it, that would be a good bit of evidence, really. But
I'll try
any
and
other
send you
questions?
some of our EVPs as well, what we've got.
Yeah, do.
I have to sort it out because a lot of ours have actually come through our static cameras and not through the EVP recorders.
All right, yeah.
I've got one which is really clear and it actually says my name.
Really?
Yeah. And it was a bit scary when I first heard it because I was just like, right, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to smash out 2 hours of footage, headphones on so no one is disturb me, and then just to suddenly hear my name get spoken, it's like, hang on a minute, that doesn't sound like anyone I know. Let's go back through and scroll back. And to see like everybody was nowhere near the camera and to hear as if someone was stood behind it, which they couldn't because we had it against a wall. And it was like, yeah, okay, this might actually be a legitimate like EVP here. This is a bit scary.
Yeah. It's a bit worrying when you hear your name, don't you?
Oh,
you
yeah.
Paul,
I know
Jamie,
why it pulled my name out
really?
because that was my typical, I don't like this spirit. Let's goad it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. He may be after you, mate.
He was. Oh, yeah, he was for quite a few times we went back there.
Oh, I can imagine.
100%. Oh, yeah.
So, any other from anybody else, Alan, or anybody? Any questions, Angela, or comments?
I've got another couple of photos from Dora.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Wait a minute.
It's not a disappointing investigation. So you look forward to going in August. Obviously, that's part of the staircase going up. You can see an orb on the left-hand side. Yeah, beautiful, isn't it? It's just such a beautiful. You can imagine sliding down there as a kid, couldn't you?
That is quite on the left there. That is quite an interesting array of light anomaly.
But I think on the left-hand side, right on the edge of the screen, I think that was a set of flowers going up the stairs.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, but if you come in slightly on one of the steps, you see a little orb in the middle, sort of to the left-hand there, where Angela's there. But the flowers, they were flowers going up the stairs, mate.
That's flowers there, is it? I can't quite see it from here on my phone.
Yeah, yeah. But that was flowers on the stairs. But there's an interesting capture of the orb.
And there's something there on her shoulder.
There's something like just above her shoulder. This is again when we feel something, we take selfies over our shoulders.
Yeah.
And there's something there. I don't know quite what that is. I can't quite see it properly on here. But there is something there. Not sure what that is, Dora.
No, not without seeing a bit closer up.
Yeah, I can't really make out what that is. It could be something on the carpet, maybe, or
maybe like a scuffed footmark.
Yeah, something.
Maybe
because
not.
if you look slightly to the right,
yeah,
to the right,
you can see to the right there looks like footmarks.
Yeah, like white marks. Yeah, so it could be.
I think it was quite a deep pile carpet up on those stairs.
It is. Yes, correct. Yes, it is. Yeah. So it could be where someone's walked through or something. But it was that type of night where you kept taking pictures because I think Julia took a few where you just knew you just needed to take the pictures, keep taking, because something was going to come in one of them. But Alan's, but we got children on those stairs on both visits. Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine it's quite an active house when it was, fully. People were living there, obviously renting it. They must have had obviously quite some money to rent a house quite that big, So I suppose with different people, you get different energy levels through the house. So maybe each time you go there, you pick up on somebody different. But I don't think the basement will change. I think whatever's in there's angry. So
there's definitely something not right in there.
Be aware.
I think it's more than one for some reason. Yeah. In the back of my head, when we were, especially in the basement, it kind of felt like they were sort of bouncing off each other, like just really like making people feel unsettled.
It's difficult to try and work that out, which was what was going on. But there's something not right down there. I don't know whether there's been a life taken down there or something's happened that's angry.
Well, if it was servants' quarters, and depending on the conditions down there, you could have had someone like end up with disease or like get really poorly down there and passed away.
Yeah.
You just don't know.
Because if you go past the staircase, there's a room just behind the staircase, which is a storage room. It's got people's stuff in it. And when I sort of poked my head in, being nosy, because I thought, oh, what's in this room? I thought I saw an old woman in a rocking chair in there, but it's full of storage stuff. And I thought, oh, and I sort of went to say sorry, opened the door, went, oh, and opened the door again and looked. I thought, well, no, it's storage, and just walked back again. But like you say, it could have been a lot of bullying going on at that time in them years, bullying the servants. And
a lot of servants used to be bullied, didn't they?
You can imagine, you lose your job if you don't do.
I'd imagine back then with a lot of people who were well off and wealthy, I'd imagine a lot of the lords would abuse them.
Oh, you can imagine, can't you?
Yeah.
You can just imagine what would have gone on, because it was a men rule type era, really, wasn't it?
Do as I say, or
get
slap. Basically.
And you can imagine all the people, all his mates coming in, can't you, after horse riding around the grounds and all drunk and wine, and you could just imagine what could have happened there.
Yeah.
Is it any more questions, or anybody want to say anything? No. Okay, so blimey, we've done an hour and 30. So only remains me to say I'm off to Spain on Wednesday. Yeah,
very nice.
Well, I'm back the following Wednesday, so I will try and get on Monday from Spain, as long as they don't have a power cut like they did last time when we were there, and then put all the art. They did. We had a 11-hour power cut, and the Spanish put the army on the streets. They went into a state of emergency.
Yeah, make sure nobody's looting.
Well, we did wonder, because we couldn't get. There was no radio stations, no phones, no nothing. Nothing. The satellites went, everything. And we were in a hotel, me and Jen, and we were thinking there's no lights in the hotel. The hotel didn't know anything. Nobody knew anything. The streets were dark, and all the army on the streets. We were thinking, is this another war? Is this a war happening? And we've gone into a state of emergency because all the satellites, even the phone satellites, were down.
Yeah,
that's how. And it was in Spain, France, and part of Portugal were all hit with the same power cut at that time. So
you imagine how easy it is just to go out, loot, like God knows how many places and houses, and then drive off, and there's no communication. Nobody would know what was happening.
No, that's why I think
the same thing when I was in America in Hurricane Katrina years ago. Once it come through and done the devastation, the police were just patrolling and said, if you're caught out between this time, there is no warning. You go straight to jail. End of. And it's like, I'm just going to stay in my villa. Thank you very much.
I'll just keep my head down. I know what's good for me. So anyway, thank you, Jamie, for coming on tonight. Luke, thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye all. I'll see you at Merriswood in a couple of weeks. Yes, we're back there in August the 2nd, back to Merriswood. Great place. Really, really place. So we had a good time when we were there, Angela, didn't we?
Yeah, very good.
We enjoyed it. I think it's again a house that's got a lot more to give. You just got to wait for it to give it to you. I investigated it about 11 years ago with another group, and we were the last ever group in there. But that was when I saw my first apparition there. So I have fond memories of that house. But anyway, thank you, Jamie, for coming on tonight.
My pleasure.
And thank you for everybody commenting. Luke, thank you for coming on. Angela, and you. And well done on your Reiki now. So if we get an injury on an investigation, we just put your healing hands on us. You and Jen together, that'll be all we need. Don't need first aid. Paramedics. We've got Jen and Angela. Don't you worry about it. So it only remains me to say, have a safe week. I should be able to get on next Monday. I'm not sure if Spanish time or Spanish energy is still running that time of night. We might have a power cut, but I will do my utmost to get on. But Angela will be here. We'll notify you if anything changes. Anyway, other than I will be going to Spain, so that won't change. So happy holidays. So only remains me to say, have a safe week, everybody. If you're out investigation, have a safe week. Be safe out there, and we'll speak to you all soon. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye.